I think the My Mission is Righteous trophy for beating all stages on Master of Masters difficulty is bullshit because, well, you already get a silver trophy for beating each individual stage on this difficulty, so I don't see the point in giving me a gold trophy for beating all of them. It just feels kind of redundant, and there could have been a better trophy elsewhere in its place. So for today's episode, I'm going to talk about all of the bullshit parts when playing through Samurai Jack Battle Through Time on the Master of Masters difficulty for the My Mission is Righteous gold trophy, and boy, were there plenty of bullshit moments.
That one bullshit PlayStation trophy.
So we'll start with the very first level of the game, Aku's Mines, and we have to play on the very hardest difficulty, which you unlock after completing it on Master Samurai, so that in itself is bullshit. But in a way, you don't want to play this difficulty first because it's really tough. You need to do it on a New Game Plus run like I have, so that you've got a lot of money going into it, you've got a lot of weapons and items and consumables so you can heal, as well as your skill trees near enough should be all upgraded. And for me, I just had the combat skills section left to do, but at the start I could spend all of my points that I earned from the previous playthrough to have all but 2 upgrades left to buy, and that allowed me to go into this Master of Masters difficulty more than enough prepared and capable to hopefully kick ass. So straight away, one of the new things I noticed with this difficulty was the enemies, as it would spawn in enemies that you wouldn't see until much later in the game, meaning most of your fights were going to be a lot tougher as you have more enemies to fight, as well as the stronger enemies included within the battles. And this was a bit of a nightmare because these blue slugs are an absolute pain in the ass later on in the game, but thankfully they sort of troll you here, and you only see them this one time, and you won't see them again until the normal level they appear in. It wasn't until this point of the first level where things really got tough.
What the fuck even is that? What even is that, you fuck? Oh my god, this is horseshit. Already I can see this is horseshit.
In the normal modes, enemies who have projectiles can be a right pain in the ass because you can often get stun locked when they hit you once, but then they fired another bullet, and by the time you can move again, that bullet is hitting you again. And that was a real pain here, and it took me a while to get past this section. I also had to use my scythes, which I didn't really want to use because those were some good weapons that would explode and cause a lot of damage that I wanted to save for some of the bosses. But after getting past that, I had a bit of a breather because I knew that there was a shop here just before the boss, and thankfully you can still go to these shops on this difficulty. So I could buy all of the hot water and haggis healing items, as well as other items like weapons and more of the Reapers, though unfortunately they would always cap at 5, so I'd want to buy those every time I went into the shop. So I then moved on to the first boss fight against the Scotsman, and I was initially fearful of this fight because I thought it was going to be a right pain in the ass and he would do lots of damage, etc. But I realised I could do this move by doing a double jump and then pressing triangle to do this sort of like sword drill attack, and this move would prove invaluable throughout the whole playthrough as it was a really good attack and it kind of keeps you away from enemies and moving. And thankfully this boss fight was really easy because he glitched out halfway through and just kept on standing still, not attacking me, so I could just easily finish him off without using any more healing items. And I was kind of hoping that all of the boss fights would end up being like this, because this was a real little bonus treat for me, to be honest, but unfortunately, as I would later find out, they wouldn't be all this easy. And with that, I earned my first silver trophy for this Master of Masters difficulty run for completing the first level, and I could now move on to level 2, Boone's Castle. And for the most part, this was going alright to begin with, because my double jump and triangle move was just working really well against a lot of the enemies, especially ones with the guns, because it would allow me to get over to them to attack. Things started to go a bit bad when I dropped down into the water, because I wanted to go into this cave to see what was in the chest, because I was hoping for some upgrades or some useful items. But unfortunately, when I was down here, a lot of these enemies just sort of ganged up on me, and I ended up using some of the haggis to heal myself, which was a little bit disappointing. But after killing all of the enemies, I then just had to smash this statue, and that would make one of the hidden chests appear. And well, when I opened it, it was a haggis, of course. So while I did use one, I at least got it back, and I can now head back out of the cave. But as I went back up the mountain, disaster happened, because when I went to jump up here, I ended up missing the ledge, because there was like an invisible wall, and I fell right the way down. And as you can see, Samurai Jack's clothes have now come off and he's looking all rough. That means that my health is very low, and yeah, I had to use that haggis that I just spent ages getting to heal myself because of that stupid fall. We then moved on. I'm going to skip ahead now to the last bit of this level, because the rest of it wasn't too bad, and this was where the final boss occurs. So straight away you've got all of these big small enemies in this big area just attacking you, but I just kept using that double jump and triangle move, and it dealt with a lot of the enemies. When these big scorpion sort of beetle sort of robots come out, they're big attacks where they spin around. They do a lot of damage, and they really did chip away at my health, so I had to try and learn to avoid those. But again, I just kept doing the double jump and triangle move, and that really did work well. And eventually I did manage to start dodging their attacks, so I could use less health, and whenever I had the power-ups charged, I could use my special move to just take away a bit more of their health. And eventually I beat this level.
That's how you do that one. With relative ease. Change my bias. I lost the thingy, but...
Heading into level 3, Cave of the Ancients, I was feeling quite confident because I was managing to get through these without too much trouble. However, when this guy always appears throughout the playthrough, he is a bit of a pain in the ass because he'll spawn loads of enemies in when you're trying to attack him, and he was just always annoying whenever he appeared.
What a cunt.
Heading deeper into the caves, disaster would strike once again once I got past these trapdoors, as you have to drop down this area very carefully. And every other playthrough it was fine, yet this one I just completely fucked it up. Not once, not twice.
Oh my god, that's bullshit.
But 3 times all the way down.
That was the worst I've ever done.
And my bad luck or clumsiness continued throughout this level.
To be another hour before it did it. Oh shit. Look.
Though when I finally got to the boss, my luck started to change because that drill move worked wonders. And this boss fight also spawned in a load of smaller enemies around the edge of the arena to just shoot at me, but I just decided to just completely ignore them and focus on the big stone golem creature, just constantly double jumping up into the air and then pressing triangle to do that drill attack. Then whenever my power meters would fill up, I would do my special moves to just chip away at a bit more of his health a bit quickly, and I just kept doing that same move over and over again really. Even when he started to like get aggressive and rage up, I just carried on doing that move, and I'd made short work of him, to be honest. It was quite easy.
What's this?
My confidence levels were now sky high, and I knew I had this trophy and the platinum in the bag as I headed into the undead cemetery level. However, as I ventured down into the crypts, I would go face to face with the ninja enemies, and my soul would be taken into the shadow realm. For these were an absolute pain in the ass to take out because they're constantly moving and throwing ninja stars at you. They are an utter horrible ball ache of an enemy to fight, and if you don't kill them quick enough, they'll do this move where they duplicate and make even more of them for you to have to kill. Fuck's sake.
How did you die, mate? Fuck that shit.
Later on in the level, I would encounter the merchant, and it was here where I could buy the Gifts of Gods again, which is the 10,000 item that you can see on screen, which allows you to revive if you get killed in a battle. So after purchasing that and all the healing items, I was ready to go into the next battle, and it was here where I'd face the toughest challenge of this one so far, because trust me when I say this is one of the most bullshit and hard encounters that you'll have to deal with throughout the entire game.
This bullshit. Jesus Christ, look at me just getting bounced around like a fucking Oh my god, man. That's fucking horseshit. Absolute horseshit, man. What a crock of shit that was. That's an absolute crock of shit. And he's not even over. He's not even over. Absolutely bullshit. Oh my god. What the fuck is this, man? This just got absolutely bullshit. Fuck. Jesus Christ. And worst of all, it's blocked me off from him, man. That is criminally bullshit.
So yeah, that meant I couldn't go back to the shop and buy more healing items or the revive chalice thing again. So I had to go through the next bit low on resources, low on patience with this trophy, and full of just hatred for this game at this point, because this was just bullshit.
Jesus. Jesus. Fucking man. Of course I need it. Fuck me up. Oh shit. Damn, now. Oh my god. I might not be able to do this. I do not have much health. Oh man. Whoa, shit. That was a big one. Oh god! Now it's a little green goblin thingy, isn't it? Is it? Oh, it's only flies in the air, isn't it? Maybe he stands on the arch? No, it's not. It's whatever the fuck this is. Oh, not the ninjas. Anything but the ninjas. Got him, yeah, fuck yeah. That is a fucking joke. Oh, Jesus. That is dangerous because that's a tough one, that. Damn. That was hard. That was fucking hard.
Unfortunately, things would only get harder from here on out as I headed into the Aku city level, and here there are even more ninja enemies for me to fight and for me to get pissed off by, as well as a new enemy type that was equally bullshit.
Here we go.
That right there is another annoying thing, because you can press the directional button to change your weapon, and you can clearly see that it selects the fists, and then when I do my special attack it keeps my sword in my hand because it has to wait for the animations to go, so I'd always end up wasting the special moves on the wrong weapon type when I want the fists that do an area of effect blast that would cause more damage.
Ah, you bullshitter, mate. You fucking bullshitter. Utter bullshitter. Look at that. Oh, my word, man. Fuck off, you crock of shit cunt. Look at this, man. Look at that! I'm dead! I'm dead! I'm fucking dead! I'll take that. Oh, you're kidding me. Yeah, it's not a big fighter. Oh, it's not this bit then. Anything here?
Arriving at the shop, I now had enough stuff to be able to upgrade the last of the combat skills and earn the Jack of all trades trophy for fully upgrading Samurai Jack. So I was now at my strongest, so surely everything would be easy to defeat now, right? Well, I actually couldn't have been more wrong, because this section here just after the train was a right pain in the ass, because these guys would do this weird grab move on me where they would just tie me up in rope and I would just instantly be dead if I didn't waggle the stick quick enough, and that happened to me again and again and again, and at this point I was getting really fed up with this game right now, because this mode was just slowly chipping away at any enthusiasm I had for the game. Sure, when playing through on normal difficulty, there are a few bullshit bits, namely when people are just constantly shooting you and it's hard to get out of the way before they shoot you again, but on this difficulty there was just so much bullshit, and having to deal constantly with those ninjas as well as this new enemy type, it just made fights even more frustrating, and they just started to become a real chore to just get through, and it was just really becoming an annoying trophy to try and get. I didn't feel like I was completely fucked out of getting through it. I still thought I could do it, and eventually I did get past that bit, and then I arrived at the boss fight of this chapter, where you have to fight off against two bosses at the same time, as well as fighting them individually multiple times as you go across the train to the front of it. And then there was these sections here where it just spawns in a load of enemies that just instantly shoot you when you just can't really do anything. Absolute bullshit.
That didn't even do it right.
Thankfully, the fights with the woman were fairly manageable, because you could just shoot them with the bow and then do that double jump and triangle move to easily take them out. When they were both together though, that would present a different sort of problem, because the big fella would just constantly hunt you down and he could do a lot of damage, so that was quite hard to just try and avoid. So I just decided to go for him first, like I'd done on all my other playthroughs, and once he was defeated, that was pretty much it for the woman, because she didn't really put up too much of a fight on her own, and with that done, I had finally completed the Aku City level.
Take my hand.
That's helped a lot. Next, that's fucking tough, man. That was fucking tough.
Next up was the Ruined City, which I think is one of the harder ones in the game. And again, we encounter the fucking Samurai Jack guy, who always comes and spawns in a load of enemies. And this time, he decides to spawn in more of those ninjas. Oh my god, this enemy is just relentless. They constantly are attacking you, and if they don't chase you down to hit you, they're standing at the back throwing the ninja blades or knives at you, and they're just so annoying to fight. Whenever they turned up, I knew I was in for a tough battle and more frustration with this tough difficulty. The trophy guides all said 4 out of 10, but this was a lot tougher than I thought it would be going into it. Thankfully though, there was a shop nearby, so I could restock all of the health items that I just used to get through that previous battle. And that's one of the key things with this, just trying to maintain the items and always have enough to take you into the next fight and see you through it. One of the main problems with this level was just the abundance of enemies with guns. they are some of the most awkward to try and deal with because, like I say, you can get trapped in this loop of just pain, pure fucking pain, as they constantly bombard you with bullets, and Samurai Jack just flails about, and you can really struggle sometimes to just get out of the way and actually get like a moment's breathing room. It really is a test of your patience in these bits, because it will make you hate the game because they're just so frustrating, and it just feels really, really cheap. It doesn't feel like it's deliberately tough, it just feels like it's deliberately cheap just to fuck you over. And as you can see there, I died and had to use my God's thingy to revive myself, but thankfully I could actually go back to the shop this time, so I could just buy it again for another 10,000. And that is definitely why you want to go in with a good 50,000 to begin with, to give you that boost to be able to buy them multiple times if you need. Further into the level, there's even more of the gun enemies, and again, they're just a pain to try and deal with. Trying to use the double jump and triangle move doesn't always work with these, because sometimes you just won't aim at the right one, or you'll just completely miss, and you'll end up being vulnerable when you land and open to a bullet to come towards you, because you can't really move right away. I would definitely suggest maybe using like the bow or something here to deal with them. Like you see here, I use it now to get rid of the guys at the top of the stairs, but even then it's a pain. I also thought this golem fight was going to be quite tough because it's a big enemy, and because we're on this difficulty, of course it spawns in a load of bullshit enemies around the arenas to just take pot shots at you constantly. And a lot of times in a lot of these battles, those enemy types will respawn, so even though you can clear them all out, they'll just keep coming back. So you're better off just doing what I do and just try and focus on the big fella, and then only attack the others through the use of your special moves that will just damage everyone in the area. You can just keep moving and keep jumping around, and eventually you'll take out the big fella, and we can then move on.
Oh yeah.
Again, I was feeling quite confident because that was a tough fight that seemed pretty easy on this difficulty, but that would soon change when I got to the boss, because this one is just bullshit. This guy is just absolutely horrible to fight off against because, one, he does a lot of powerful attacks, two, he'll throw boulders at you, three, he'll often not be in the arena, he'll often go and stand above it, so you can't even damage him. And then, probably the worst thing is the fact that he keeps spawning in a load of ninjas, and to start the fight there are a load of gun shooting enemies that will just be there waiting to kill you. This one was just a nightmare to try and do, and it really did piss me off.
Absolute cunt. That's an absolute cunt. Oh man, seriously pal, fuck off. When are you gonna stop hitting me? Like seriously, what the fuck is that? It's still fucking hitting me. Look at it, it's dog shit. Dog shit. Not hard, not challenging, just bullshit. Look at it, look at them. I can't do nothing, I'm in a corner now. Well done, great, you've robbed me of my fucking house yet again. I'm still not even near where I was before, can you believe that? That is absolute bullshit. That is absolute bollocks, man. Absolute bollocks. 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 difficulty. Bullshit. What the fuck is that? That is horseshit. Absolute absolutely disgusting. What a bullshit way to make something hard. Fire a load of fucking bullets, have a load of flying fucking ninjas who just do a load of bullshit. Like, what the fuck is that? Utter trash, man. That's what that is. It's just utter fucking trash.
With the toughest level done of this run so far, I could now move on to the Snowy Forest level, which is another pretty tricky one in places, to be fair. Like this room here, this one took me a couple of attempts to clear it because there's just so many enemies in this bit. A load of the annoying ninjas, and then these big stone guys with some spears that can just damage you from quite a distance, and it can easily just lose a load of health there really quickly. Other than that though, the biggest challenge probably comes at the end with a boss fight, because it's quite a long bit where you do multiple fights before you get to the final part with all of the women that you have to fight. But again, here my tactic was to just keep moving and keep doing the double jump and triangle move where possible, and then just make sure you hit the orbs after defeating enemies to damage the puppet master guy who spawns everyone in, and just keep moving around. More enemies will spawn in after you'll deal with the first wave, and then again just do the same sort of thing, double jump, triangle to swoop in and drill them, and maybe use your specials whenever you get the opportunity, because you'll easily refill them throughout the boss fight. Once the female ninjas show up, again, just use this double jump triangle move strat, because they really can't cope with that move. And it was amazing because I discovered it early on in this run, and it just works wonders in this mode, and especially against these women, because they just can't deal with your jumping up constantly, and they don't really have a move to sort of take you out of the sky and stop you. So basically what you can see here is just how I do the whole of this fight, just keep repeating this move to slowly chip away at their health. Even when there's more of them later on in the fight, there's still no match for this move, to be honest. That is great, because after having such a hard chapter before this, it was nice to have a more of a breather with this one, because this just went really smoothly compared to the other one. And this boss fight, it didn't really give me much trouble at all. I mean, there were times when I got hit, but it was still very, very manageable.
Please,
The prison ship is the penultimate level in the game, and it's the level that sees the return of those blue slug enemies that we briefly got a glimpse of in the very first level. And these are just absolute bullshit. If they spit their acid at you, you can easily quickly die, and unfortunately I had to use my revive here very early on into the level. And it's here where I had to start to change up the weapons I use, because I did a lot of this playthrough just using the normal sword, but you're pretty much better off using the umbrella that you can get off that female boss on the train. If you kill her with a throw, you'll steal her weapon, because it has a long range. If you haven't got that weapon, you can use the spear. That's another good one, the lightning spear, and that will easily make short work of these enemies. You seem to be a bit more invulnerable when using it, so it's a good one to use there. I was also making more use of the bow as well throughout these later levels, and also any other sort of weapons that I could just switch to quickly. But yeah, for the most part it was the sword, but I was getting more comfortable using some of the other weapons, so most of these other fights throughout the level weren't too bad. But again, it was the slugs. The slugs were the problem, and the umbrella was a breakable weapon, so I had to be careful not to use it too much and destroy it, which is why I have to switch to the spear every now and then before I can repair the weapons in the shop using the money. So yeah, the slugs were the biggest problem on this level, to be honest. Whenever I saw them, I would have to focus on them first, because if they split up and multiplied, they'll become more of a hindrance to me throughout the fights. The big blob secret weapon thingy boss fight, mini boss fight rather, wasn't too bad either. My double jump and triangle move worked wonders, but the best thing to use on it was the X49, which you can find throughout the level. There's one of them somewhere in the level, and just lobbing that at it and electrocuting it pretty much made short work of it, which then took me to the boss fight. And this boss fight, I think, is maybe the second easiest in the game. You can easily do a lot of damage to it, but on this difficulty it was a little bit more tricky, because there's the ninjas constantly chasing you around who just won't leave you the fuck alone. And I mean, they won't leave you the fuck alone. They just hunt you fucking down and keep on hitting you, and you can barely do anything, and they are just an absolute pain in the ass. So you do want to kind of just take them out, especially when you have your specials ready. Just use the fist one, and that should do a lot of damage to them. Make sure you avoid the nuclear blast that the boss can do, because that will take a lot of damage off you. The drones aren't really too much of an issue, so you can kind of just leave them, but again, just keep doing that double jump and triangle move. Maybe just lock onto the boss and try and focus on them while avoiding the ninjas is probably your best bet. But again, the ninjas are lethal, and they can and will kill you, and that's what happened to me there, which was very, very frustrating. For me, this was just a frustrating difficulty because of just the amount of bullshit that you see. The enemies aren't that tough to actually fight, but they have a lot of things that can just fuck you over. The guns constantly firing at you, and the amount of enemies that are all just attacking you at the same time can make it really hard to just dodge and try and hit the one that you want to hit. So you can end up taking a lot of damage for all of these little chipped hits that you constantly get in quick succession. Eventually though, I managed to beat that level, and I got another silver trophy for being in this level on the Masters of Masters difficulty, which led me to the final level, Aku's Tower. And this is like climbing up a tower and facing off against multiple waves of enemies on each floor of the tower until you get to the top to be able to face off against Aku, the game's final boss. And this is just a gauntlet of all the bullshit enemies that are in the game that you face throughout, and you have to just fight them all together in a really cramped circular room. And it's the same sort of room on every floor of the tower, and it starts off with all of these fuckers just firing bullets at you. You can see here from these clips just how awkward it is to dodge, because there's so many things just flying at you, and Samurai Jack will just constantly flail back and fall around, so you can find yourself doing really great, and then you'll make one mistake and it will just cost you maybe a couple of haggises or something to heal. Eventually though, I got to the second floor, and it's here where this puppet master guy spawns in again, and we have to do him for the final time. Thankfully this is the final time we have to face him. And once again, his boss fight plays out the same way it has done throughout the game. He'll just spawn in a bunch of enemies, you have to defeat them, so they drop the orb that you can then attack, so it will then fly into the boss and do it damage. But unfortunately, it spawns in, what do you know, ninjas, and he's shooting electric at you, lightning at you, and it just really is, this is just tough. And one of the big problems with this is beating the fucking prison level. There's no shop in between that and this level, so you're going into this with whatever you've got left from the previous level, and you have to make your way through 2 floors in order to get to the shop. So if you've used your revive thing in the boss fight previously, you're not going to have it for those first 2 waves, so just bear that in mind, because that can create real problems. Thankfully I got there with it and was able to just use whatever I needed to, and re-buy them if I needed. But maybe don't buy everything from the shop straight away, because you can come back down after you go through the other floors and beat the other waves, so you can always use them again if you need to. That's a good tip to do, I think. Again, this room with a load of enemies that are shooting at you is one of the worst things you can encounter in the game, because just trying to get a foothold in the fight and just start attacking them without them actually hitting you constantly is the toughest thing, because the enemies aren't hard, they're not that strong, but it's just getting to them and hitting them. That is the problem. And again, this one has like 3 or 4 waves of enemies in this one area, and it can be really tough. The big mallet guys, I tended to try and just focus on the ninjas first, because they are quite slow. They do have a lot of reach, but you can easily sort of avoid them. And with those done, we can now, if need to, like I'm going to, jump back down. Thankfully, I will say this, you can at least revisit the shop on this level. They didn't do it really cheap like in that graveyard when you couldn't go back and visit him, because if you couldn't do it here, I wouldn't have been able to do this level, because I needed to buy things again, restock on weapons, restock on the haggis, all of the potions to make me have a better defense and attack strength for a little while, you know, the gift of gods whenever I needed it. That was really important, and the key to beating this level is that shop and just using him again and again until you can't buy any more stuff. Because yeah, as you can see, the next floor I went up to, I died, and yeah, I revived and it was okay, but it was always a worry that I couldn't go and buy another one. But thankfully you can keep rebuying the gift of gods. It doesn't like only sell one and then it's out of stock, which is another good thing about this bullshit difficulty. For me though, I think having a gold trophy for beating all of the levels is definitely pointless, because it's always rewarding you every time you beat a level on this difficulty with a silver trophy. And even when you beat this final level, you're still going to get a silver trophy for beating it, or whatever level you do them in. So I don't see the point in having a gold for just beating all of them. It's like, do all these things, oh, and here's a trophy for doing them all. But again, maybe that's what, you know, that's what the platinum is really, isn't it? But at least it's a different type of trophy. Having just a gold for beating them all doesn't make sense to me. They could have done something else with that. I mean, there's a whole, like, I'm sure there's a whole different mode that there's no trophies for that they could have done something with instead. But yeah, it's a free, essentially a free gold trophy for getting all of those other silver trophies, basically. And for that reason, I do think it is kind of bullshit. But yeah, with all of those waves done, I am now on the final boss, and surprisingly this boss was actually easier, because it didn't seem to spawn in a ninja on this difficulty for some reason. Now I was thinking it was going to spawn in a shitload of enemies that were all just shooting me while I was trying to beat Aku, but it didn't, so I was allowed to just focus on Aku without really worrying about anyone else. And I had lots of those Reaper's little mini scythe things to throw at him and use, and I had multiple arrows and multiple bows, so I was really well prepared for this fight, and I had the other swords and everything, so I went into it with a lot of strength, and he didn't really put up that much of a challenge, to be honest, which was kind of a little bit anticlimactic, to be honest, because I'd struggled so much with some of those other levels. But this one and this last fight, it was really ridiculously easy compared to everything else I got. And while I do think the gold trophy is bullshit, I do like that there's a trophy for each of the levels and beating it on this difficulty, because it does make you actually master this game. So yeah, while it's a bit redundant to have this gold trophy, I still think it's a good difficulty, and for that reason, the My Mission is Righteous gold trophy gets a bullshit rating of.
Alright, here we go. Let's go! Shit! Shit! Oh.
Alright, hold on. I'll see if there's an. Oh shit! Oh shit!
Shit!
Is that it?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
You gotta be kidding me. Oh. You gotta be kidding me. I practically had it.